All right, jumping right into it. No prep, no bullshit here. We're going through your questions on Instagram, how to make it in special operations. These are the same tactics that the guys inside the Ranger Blueprint learn. You want to 10x your chances of success? Shoot me a text. You got a link below. I'll send you the 5 mental shifts. The first thing that you need to start with, remember that special operations is a mental task, not a physical one. And you want to figure out how to not be the 95% that quit or fail? You'll learn it here, but we can start with this. All right. George, fasted for a day, worked out and had a sauna sesh, felt super low energy, anxiety, and low mood. How can I improve my mindset next time I try it? Okay, so doing a fast is a training technique. It is a way to implement a stress on the body and on the mind so that you can start to understand your patterns. For this guy, he already can see the patterns coming in. Low energy, right? That's from low food, especially if you haven't trained or done anything with fasting before. Also anxiety, right? So sometimes if you're even, let's say, you're not used to going long periods without food, you might have that like glucose dip, blood sugar dip, and then your body injects cortisol, right? That could be that anxiety feeling. So look, this is all simply data. Now you know your patterns. You know the type of thoughts that come in when you're low mood. You know the type of feelings that are happening when you are without food. Remember that you are going to go through periods of low to no food in training. So if at least you've experienced them before and you know what's coming, then you know, hey, I can survive that. I still trained. He still did a sauna, right? It's not a problem. Next time, to improve the mindset, 1 would simply be by knowing what's coming. It will help you improve. 2, by taking control of the mindset, having different thoughts that you might repeat over and over again, doing a state change. We go deeper on that in the blueprint, but another thing could simply be activating breathing, changing your posture. A couple rounds of that, right? Boost a little adrenaline in the system. All you're looking for is to get slightly better every time you do it. Okay, do's and don'ts when it comes to running long distances. The biggest thing is to have bad form. If you have poor form, you will get injured at some point. If you get injured, it can completely derail your career. Guys send me videos of their form all the time, and I can instantly pinpoint things that are going to crush them, just like heel striking. A lot of times you can't even feel it, so you have to go through in the video. Another thing is not breathing correctly. You have a pump inside your body, which is the lungs and the diaphragm. A lot of people basically utilize like 50% of the capacity of that pump. That's how you get oxygen into your blood. So if you are not breathing correctly, if you're not breathing from the diaphragm, if you do not even know how to use your diaphragm, right, which is like a balloon inside your belly, you're screwed. It's also why we talk about the breathing gears, right? It would be like trying to ride have you ever ridden on a beach cruiser bicycle or a single gear bicycle and tried to go up a big hill? Really, really difficult. Your body has gears. Why not use them? You can breathe fast, slow. You can use nose, mouth, right? So we lessen the resistance on the breathing as the heart rate goes up. And that's a very specific technique. All right, this is Ranger specific. Thoughts on being an E5 with a Ranger tab trying to get into Regiment. Don't pay any attention to what other people tell you. Just do it. You're really going to not get into a special operations unit simply because you think you're too far along in the process. That's fear talking, my man. Is it true about the daily life in special operations being harder than selection? Yeah, in a way. You might not feel as like physically beat up and deprived as in a hell week, but it's harder mentally because things actually matter. You are actually leading teams. You are actually preparing for real. There is a lot of pressure on you. Your career could be on the line. So a lot is expected. And there's a lot more pressure and a lot more responsibility. And you have normal life. So you have to be able to balance the rest of your life and doing the job. But if you train yourself to be an optimal version of you, you will not have a problem with that. I never did. Does the blueprint prepare you solely for U.S. special operations or any foreign units? We've had like 15 guys in different foreign units all over the world. Remember, guys, special operations is the same. That's why preparing for buds and SFAS and RASP and whatever, they're basically the same with like small tweaks on what you would focus on. For example, rucking versus swimming. But remember that they're mental tests. They're testing you for trust. Can I trust this guy on my team? Do I want to train him? Can he meet a physical baseline? And then can I trust him not to quail, not to fail or quit? It's really the quitting piece and help the team going forward. All right. In a month, I'll be finishing up my college degree and working a job. I'm willing to put in the work. Is your blueprint able to accommodate? Yes. What I do is design for guys with busy schedules because you're never going to not have a busy schedule. Most of you don't just have time off to do nothing and train. And there's a lot of like people out there telling you to train hours and hours a day, 3 to 4 hour workouts a day. Bullshit. You don't need to do that. If you have that time, whatever, go for it. But I didn't. I had small windows in the morning, maybe small windows throughout the day and in the evening. So do not let being busy be an excuse. Also, if you're trying to get into special operations and you allow it to be an excuse, you're never going to go down that path. Tips on foot care, rucking, running. I truly believe that the foot issues come from boot issues. It is not the rucking that does it to your feet. It is improper boots. So find things that fit. I really liked the 𝐉𝐺𝐻𝐺 boots. And then if you do, obviously, look, if you're going 50 plus miles day in, day out, your feet are wet, you're going to have some problems. Duct tape, fantastic. Once you start feeling a blister coming on, or I had some rubbing on like in between the toes. And so I would wrap each individual toe in duct or electrical tape. That helps a ton. Keep your feet dry, get the right boots. When preparing for a transfer from the regular army to a school, how do you handle the mental side of transition? Not sure what you mean by that one, but anytime you go into an unknown environment, you're going to fear and things and procrastination, whatever your typical mental pattern is going to come up. If you don't know those patterns, then it will seem like a blind side and you'll feel very uncomfortable in your skin. If you know the patterns, you know how to then reverse the patterns, start thinking positively, train your nervous system to think positively, almost fake it till you make it kind, because you are understanding that simply going into an unknown environment is going to bring those things up. How many miles a week should I be running? There's no mileage. You have to be able to crush the fitness test. So if you're going to be a SEAL, it's 1.5 miles. If you're going to be a Ranger, it's 5 miles. Be able to crush those times. Simply focus on getting a better and better time for those. Don't worry about mileage. Once you are a really, really good runner, like for example, you could run a 32-minute 5 mile, then you can start packing on more miles if you want to train being on your feet a little bit longer. But that's not the thing that's going to get you selected. But what will guarantee that you don't get selected is not being able to pass those runs. All right. How do I find guys to surround myself with before special operations selection when everyone you're surrounded with doesn't have the same goals? All right, so if you're going into a basic training, you'll find the other guys with special operations contracts. If you are currently active duty in the military, I'm sure there's somebody out there, or just accept training alone. Or if you're in the Ranger Blueprint Discord, you post in the meetups and you find other guys going down that path. All right, any pointers trying to squeeze in workouts, runs, rucks while being in the field a lot in the next upcoming months? The runs and the rucks are difficult because you can end up like away from your unit, and I don't really know what the structure of your days are like. So make sure you're staying up on the body weight stuff. Sprint workouts to keep you closer and like not having to go too far away for too long can be a good one as well. Or you just have to figure out your schedule, man. Figure out how to work it in. That's That's the only key. The other thing is you can break things up. So you could break like running and rucking up into a form, right? So practicing your form on sprints, doing form drills, doing mobility. And then if you wanted to train cardio, like the pump, right? Using that system, I mean, if you could do burpees in place or just lunges in place, and that would at least allow you to practice gaining your cardiovascular ability. All right. Will I create a resistance band workout for the blueprint? Maybe. Resistance bands are fantastic. But I do things very, very specifically. The first is hyper-targeted to you passing the fitness test. The second is to make sure that you are good with odd objects such as boats and logs and sandbags. That's the thing that you should be training for. That's the sport. So you're just looking for, by asking about resistance bands, you're just looking for new ways to train to make things interesting. Guys, training is boring. Think about LeBron James, Michael Jordan. Can you make shooting free throws more interesting? No. You just have to shoot thousands of them. Doing push-ups is kind of the same thing. Unfortunately, it's boring. Keep doing it knowing that it's going to be the thing that gets you to the exciting stuff, like throwing a boat out of the back of the helicopter at night and jumping after it. For some people who have failed to achieve something in life or in the Army, what advice would you give them going into selection? Figure out why you failed. Create a training plan to change that behavior, personality type, or thought pattern or reactions, and then you will have no problem in selection. But for those that just accept, oh, I failed or I didn't accomplish something, let me go and try, you're setting yourself up for failure. Could you tell us if the Ranger SF path is more injury prone in terms of torn meniscus, bulging discs from heavy rucks and such? Okay. Guys, you are going into a career that is going to put you under a ton of physical stress. So are you more injury prone with torn meniscuses and bulging discs, jumping a heavy ruck and a machine gun out of a plane versus sitting at a desk? Yeah, no shit. So this is why we focus so heavily on injury prevention, why we have entire plans on injury prevention and learning and gaining the knowledge on mobility and injury prevention. So that at least when you put yourself in the positions that could be difficult, that might give you a back injury or a knee injury, you have better mobility, your body is stronger, and then if you start to feel injuries, you can rework them. This has been an absolute game changer for guys. They'll tell me in selection that if they were not able to basically work on their injuries while they're there, they eventually would have gotten pulled out of the course. There is not a special operations veteran on the planet that will not tell you that injury prevention and mobility, they should have spent more time on it, including myself. That's why I'm so big on it. You must become an expert. It's not about just, oh, I do my stretching routine every day. It's about learning so that when you start getting pain that you never used to have in the middle of buds or rasp or, MARSOC, INOC, that you know what to do, or at least you know where to start and what to test. And so that's, again, what we teach in our plan. So look, we're going to keep doing these. I will keep posting these Q&As. Feel free to ask questions in the comments and I can do longer videos on those. We've got a coaching call for the blueprint here later today. We do those every single week. There is a link in the description. I will send you the 5 mental shifts for free and you and I can talk about what your plan should look like. Don't hesitate. Just do it. I'll see you next time.